so long.
I know.
Since you and I have ever really caught up and spoken in these type of ways. Cheers to that.
I know. I miss you.
I know. Same here. And I'm really, 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 really proud that you came through and did your thing. Like, I didn't even know what was going on. Like, seriously, I didn't even know what was going on. So you're going to have to brief me on that. Seriously, because I don't have a clue that you were even really making that album. I know that we used to talk about music. Yeah. I just figured it was just an idea. And it's like, okay, cool. But now putting out an album, that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
How did that even start? Like, what's the inspiration?
So I put out my EP in 2014.
I went to that.
Yeah. So that was like my whole thought process with that was I had been doing music for a minute. And I had like 3 different managers. One of them wanted me to go on American Idol and The Voice and all that stuff. And I was like, that's not the kind of artist.
Not for everybody.
Yeah, that's not really what I want to do. Like, for me, like, music is an outlet. Like, it's like therapy for me. So, like, I enjoy making my own music. And so when I released Unknown Artist, which was my first EP, it was just a compilation of like my favorite songs that no one ever heard. Like, I had a bunch of stuff on SoundCloud that wasn't even, like, no one even knew it was there. And I was like, here I am having done music for like however long and no one even knows. So it was kind of like this rebellious spirit in me that I was like, you know what? F it. I'm just going to release my stuff. I'm going to do it my way. I don't care what no one has to say. And like, if it pop, it pop. If it dropped, whatever. At least I can say I did it.
It is, because I'm going to, let's go back and look at this.
Uh-oh.
I'm just saying, I got to go search for this stuff. But it's like, where did all this idea and inspiration come from to even... Like, give us your background on music. Like, what inspired you to start where you're at right now?
So, music has always been a part of my life. Like, ever since I was little, my mom used to play, I don't know if you're familiar with Denise Williams. And she used to play that when I was a kid. She had a Lullabies album. And it was a cassette tape. And she would play this album every night, and I would go to sleep to it. And at some point, I would like look for her to play the music before I went to sleep. And so one year, her and my dad took me to her concert, and I was the only baby in the audience.
Wow.
And so the whole night, she's singing, and like she keeps like glancing at me, like looking at me, like, what's this baby doing in the audience?
How old are you? How old is baby?
I was probably like 2, 3.
And you remember all this?
I don't remember all this. This is my parents telling me the story, right? Like, all dramatic, like, and then she looked at you and she locked eyes with you. And so she comes over to me and she picks me up. And my mom's like super like giddy and my dad's with the camera, right? And they take a picture of me and now they have this picture. My mom has this picture blown up. It's huge in my room. And so I just remember like I met Denise Williams, the same artist that I was obsessed with as a baby. And I think like just ever since then, like I've had this passion for music. Like it's just in me. My mom sings too. So it's just always been a part of me. And it wasn't until like I was older, like a teenager, that I started writing my own music. So like that's kind of how it started. And it just spiraled from there, just writing about life and like stuff I was going through.
Yeah, most stuff like what girls go through.
What girls go through.
Breakups.
Yeah, all that.
Bad girlfriends.
That's all what Love Alchemy is about. It's me, like an evolution of, what you go through when you meet somebody, when you break up, when you make back up, when you're still in with the same person again and again and again. And like...
We're ladies, we know.
All of that. And then like trying to come out unscathed in the end. Like it's hard, first of all. Like everybody carries around their baggage and hurt people. You know what I mean? So you just end up in this space where you're like, all right, so like what does all this mean? Like what was all this for? And so that's kind of why it took so long. So between 2014 and 2019 has been material. It's been life happening.
So actual writing material for Love Alchemy.
Yeah.
So, okay, so the creative process of Love Alchemy, like, what was your approach? Like, how did you come up with the idea? Because I'm looking at the album cover and I see a lot of spiritual
Yeah.
elements to it. And if you're not into nothing spiritual, you're really not going to understand what is on the cover of it. So explain, is your music coming from spiritual experience, or what is that?
I mean, I would consider myself more spiritual than religious, but definitely spiritual.
That's interesting you say that.
Yeah.
You are from a church background.
Yeah, my dad's a pastor. I'm a PK. So I think that also attributed to why it took me so long to release it, because this is the most raw, authentic, personal that I've ever been, exposed that I've ever been. I didn't even tell my dad I was releasing a track. I didn't tell him I was releasing an album, because I wanted it just to be what it was without, but as far as like the concept behind the album, I am highly spiritual, and ever since I was a kid, I've always been really curious about like ancient Egypt. And like ancient science and stuff like that. And so as I've continued to grow in my adulthood, I've been more and more curious about like how the world works, like how the universe works, and like energy, and like when people meet each other, like all of what they're carrying, like you create a different experience when you come together. So you co-create together. And so when you have someone that's completely different from you, like when you meet someone that's completely different from you, you create an experience that's very different from someone that's very, very similar to you. And so when I think about love alchemy, it's more like the process of what it is essentially is like turning base metals into gold, which is pretty much unheard of. Like I don't know anyone that can just tell me that they turn a pile of lead into a couple bricks of gold, right? And right. Just the process of turning something that's really ordinary or like really unremarkable into something that's extremely valuable. When I think about like a relationship and something that you would think maybe has no potential, or something that's a dead end, but you invest in it anyway, right? And at the end, maybe you break up, maybe you stay together, but in the end, in some way, it's still gold, and the experience is still valuable.
Right.
So I was inspired by alchemy, like the concept of that, and also kintsukuroi, which is Japanese. It's Japanese art form where they basically take broken pottery and they mend it together with gold lacquer, they essentially they reinvent the bowl or the plate or the cup or whatever, and it's with a gold, precious metal, right? And so the idea is it's better having been broken. And so so kind of combining like those ideas with alchemy and like this evolution of like your love experience over time.
Okay, cool. So it's been Denise Williams.
I'm all over the place.
I love spirituality. Like, how did you you're blending it all together, like, and you came up with Love Alchemy, and now it's here.
Yeah.
And your first single is
Bullets.
It's
playing right now.
Playing right now.
Yeah.
She's making up her own self right now, so that's good. And from there, you how did you come up with Bullets? So what's the concept of Bullets?
So Bullets is about, like I say in the hook, dodging bullets. And so for me, it's like, you meet people that you think you want to be with, or you date people that you think you want to be with. And then something happens and it doesn't work out, and then you see how maybe life turns out for them, or you get an epiphany of what would have really transpired had you stayed together, and you're like, oof, I dodged a bullet. Like, I'm glad I didn't get involved in that. And then, like, I think it's a little bit of a paradox, too, where, like, I'm sure that there's been relationships that I've been, or people that I've met, that they look back and they're like, I'm glad that I didn't, that didn't happen, right? And so for me, it's like this exploration of like, the people from my past that I feel like, ooh, thank God I dodged that bullet. But I also know there's people out there that like, I'm glad things turned out the way that they did and I didn't end up with Nell. So it's kind of like, what does that look like? Like, what are the feelings that get evoked when you realize that has happened, that you're better off now than, or you're better off in the situation that you're in presently than what would have transpired had you been with that person. And so, I kind of allude to alchemy and this idea of leaving people better than you found them, and like how noble that is, but how improbable it is. Like, it's probably not gonna happen.
So, like, are you fixing yourself while you're fixing other people in it? In some of your contributions to your music and life?
I don't know that I'm fixing anything. I don't know that I'm telling anyone how to view a certain situation, more that I'm just describing mine, and hoping that someone has a similar experience, that they feel me. You know, like there's been a couple people that have texted me like, yo, there's this line where you were talking about this, and yo, I feel you. Were you talking about that? And I'm like, yeah, like, and like that's the kind of, I guess that's kind of the experience that I wanted to have with just telling my story and seeing, like, am I the only one in the world that feels like this? And I know the answer is no, you know, but
I mean, there's some similarities. I mean, I'm listening to it, and I'm like, dang, I haven't spoken to Chanel in a very long time. And I'm like, wow, you know, what are some things that people like me, even though we worked together in the past, like now that we're in a much older state and we're much more mature, what are some of the things that you want people to understand and know about you that you would have never, people would have never guessed?
Ooh, that's a loaded one. That people would never guess. When people meet me, I'm a very happy-go-lucky, high energy, high positive vibe. Like, that's what I bring. I'm very intentional about bringing that, because that's what I want people to bring to me when we come together, like in a co-creative experience. But the duality is that I wouldn't say that I'm negative, but I'm very hard on myself.
You're creative. That's what
yeah,
creative people
that's
do.
what creative people do. We're hot, but I'm interested in the shadow. I'm interested in the darker side of things, and like that's been more inspirational to me in music than the I'm in love and I can't believe this and I just want to, like, you know, stroll across rainbows. I've never been inspired by that. I've been inspired by pain. And so I think that most people that know me will be very shocked to, or most people that think they know me will be very shocked to know that that's where I gather my inspiration, you know, from, or that's where I spend a lot of my thought process kind of contemplating. I think that's probably would be the biggest shocker.
Well, I mean, I can believe that, you know, being that, you know, people want to make the stereotype, oh, her dad's a pastor, she grew up in a church, you're supposed to be this wholesome goody two-shoes. Not to say that you have a bad rep or anything anywhere out there, but I think the perception is sometimes like, oh, you can't do certain things.
Yeah.
And you can't sing about certain things.
Yeah.
Where's your daddy gonna think?
Yeah.
Know, those type of things. But I'm glad that you have an outlet like music to help you bring out those experiences. So let's talk about your production, like your producers and your writing style.
Yeah.
How do you select beats? Like, what do you do?
So,
like, what's your process?
My process, probably the most unconventional. I'm sure no one does it like this, but this is the way that I do it. So, for me, I have to feel the song. Like, I have to hear a song, and in 15 seconds, I have to be like, yo, I need this. That's the only way that I write to it. It's the only way that I record on it. In 15 seconds, I gotta be like, ooh, what is this song about? And so when I write, it's not necessarily what I feel like I want to say. It's like, what do I feel like the song is saying?
The beat.
Yeah.
So when you hear the beat, you hear the lyrics, or do you have the lyrics already and you just need a landscape? Like,
I hear the beat and then I feel the vibe. Like, Bullets is very mysterious. It's dark. You know, like the gunshot, like the click clack we added after. But the first thing that came to me was this one left, I was so right. That's the first thing that I say in the first verse. And once I get that one line down, now I'm like, okay, this is what I'm talking about. Okay, so like, this one left, I was so right. Well, what happened? Right? Like, who did it? And then what happened? And I start asking myself questions, and then the next thing you know, I got a whole verse. And so after that, it's just about making the production complement what I'm talking about. But I have to be inspired. Like, I have to be pulled to the track in the first place. That's the only way that I record. So I'll go online and listen to a couple of things, or some of the producers that I work with will shoot me some stuff that they're working on. And if I like it, I like it. If I don't, I don't. Yo, your track that you posted, what did I do?
You was like,
yo, send me that.
Send
me that. And that's how I respond. That's how I respond to music. Because I know, like, when I listen to music, like, for example, like Chris Brown's album that he dropped.
Oh, Indigo? That
girl
is...
First 15 seconds.
That's incredible, by the way.
Exactly.
That's an incredible album.
First 15 seconds of every song, pretty much, I was like, yo, this is wild.
Yeah, he really took it there as far as production.
Yeah.
As far as selecting. So... it's like, how do you feel about like listening to the radio now and listening to the R&B that's out now?
Yeah.
It's obviously this soul trap, this Bryson Tiller sound.
Yeah.
Where do you think NellzB fits in all that?
Nowhere in there.
Nowhere.
People have said, oh, you know, Bullet should be on the radio, or, you know, this song should be rotating in this area, that area. And this is probably because I've never associated my sound with any artist, one that I like or that I know. I don't think I've ever heard an artist that sounds anything like me. So when you think about like what's like stereotypically radio quality or like mainstream, I don't ever really feel like any of that fits into that. And so I think it's a gift and a curse, you know?
I mean, it's tough. It's literally like at the end of the day, it's still a business.
Yeah.
And you're still trying to find your way to make your creative work for you.
Yeah.
So trying to find an audience and fitting in between where can I make money?
Yeah.
How do I stay in my lane and work for me?
And be relevant.
And still be relevant to people. I think that's like the hardest thing I think anybody can deal with, but especially with music, because people are just following a trend.
Right.
And you're not.
Right.
So when I listen to Love Alchemy, it definitely sounds ambient in a few areas, and then you kind of pick up halfway through the album and you start jamming out. So I see where you're kind of going back to that little bit of a 90s vibe, that little bounce that you got going on, and then you come right back to being Nellz. Like, is your intentions to ever be mainstream, or you just stay in your lane? Or?
That's $1 million question. I've thought about it a lot, and I think if I can get there with being authentically Nell, then I'm down. And if not, then I'm 1,000% okay being indie for life. Like I'm cool just doing my own thing, because I know why I do music, and I do music because it's therapy for me. Like the whole process of putting together lyrics and music and having it tell a different story than what you can tell in any other medium is very special to me. And so I've always been very concerned with polluting that with the ideas of people that are mainstream in the industry, and that's just never been my thing. So I think like if I put everything that I've got to give into something that's authentically me and it gets me there, then I'm down. And if it doesn't, then it doesn't. And so I think that since it's taken me about 4+ years to make this record, I think like I would be remiss to switch it up all of a sudden.
Not even for like, even if somebody from some label is like, look, I like you, I like your sound, you're different, and they're like, look, but I need you to switch up just a little bit for me.
It depends on what the switch up is. Like what type of switch up we talking about?
What the check look like?
And what the check look like? Listen, if they could get me to quit my day job and do things that, like, if I could write music 24/7, and collab with people that I appreciate their writing or I appreciate their art, I would do it. If it meant switching up a little bit, but I couldn't, like my image is very clear. Like you look at just my album covers for the first and the last project that I have a very clear image, and that's by design from me, right? Like that's nobody saying, oh, you should come across like this, or this is really in right now, or this kind of fits your body type or whatever, or your sound. Like this is all authentically me. So as long as I was able to stay true to that, I'd be down with the switch up. I can switch it up.
For a check. I'm just playing. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, sometimes you kind of have to shed a few things to get to where you want to go.
Yeah, I think like to be a real like musician, like you have to evolve.
Absolutely.
And like that's one of the things that I've landed on, like just reflecting these like last 2 weeks is like, how do I want to evolve? Like, do I want to continue down the same trajectory that I'm on, or do I want to continue to add on? And so like lately I've decided like, yo, I want to pick up the guitar. Like I really want to play the bass guitar, and I'm gonna take it seriously, like, and start from scratch, like a lot of the greats have. And I think that naturally, like playing music, is very different from, you know, being savvy with technology. It's very different from just being good with words, right? Like I think it uses a different part of your brain, right? And it requires a lot of discipline. And I think in order because I want my sound to evolve. I want to evolve as a writer. I want to evolve as a performer. And the only way that you can really do that is to continue to test yourself. And so I think like playing music, because I play piano by ear, but that's it. So, you know, kind of stepping up to another instrument and being humbled by that experience, I think is what will help my sound evolve. So I think that's where I'm going with that as far as like my sound.
Right, just saying that NellzB sounds like strictly only for you at this point. How would you feel if a major songwriter came in and says, I want you to sing it this, I like your voice, but sing what I'm writing?
Yeah.
And they're like, it's gonna be a hit, trust me. Like the girl, I forgot her name, but she's all over Instagram. The girl who's co-writer of No Guidance,
Mm-hmm.
and 24/7 by Meek Mill.
Yeah.
What if she came in and was like, yo, just sing this, knowing her track record?
I would try it. I'll try it.
Yeah?
Yeah, like I don't, here's the thing, I don't think I'm the best writer in the world. I'm certainly not the best singer in the world, right? And so I have a deep respect for those that have mastered their craft. And so if you've mastered whether you're famous or not, if you've mastered your craft in some way or another, like I got respect for you. And so I'm not a big collaborator, but I'm down to collaborate, especially if there's something for me to learn in the process. So if someone came to me and was like, yo, now, like, I like Bullets, but, like, let's switch up a couple things, I would be like, let me see what that sounds like, you know? And I will give it a try. I don't think I'm resistant to others kind of, like, giving me their input, especially for something like music. I think that, like, whatever you can create with another person that's talented.
Have you collaborated with anybody other than, I know that you have a brother who also raps.
I do have a brother.
You do? She does have a brother.
Who also raps.
Who raps.
Yeah.
I've heard him rap too.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Other than working, you worked with your brother, right?
Yeah, we worked before.
You worked before. Who else would you, like, you're open to collaborating to what extent? Like, whole entire album, just few song selections?
Yeah, my brother and I have talked about doing a joint album. And it's funny because we had this idea around the time Chris Brown dropped Indigo. And the first thing me and my brother thought was, is he calling himself an indigo baby? Like, is he calling himself an indigo child? And indigo children is kind of like, it's like this theory of like people who are like, they dance to the beat of their own drum. Like they're just completely, they're different. Like they're on a different wavelength. And that's how me and my brother have always felt. And so we talked about doing a joint album where we kind of explore a little bit of that. So I'm down to create and collab with anyone, so long as we're not stuck on like clout chasing. We're not trying to like outdo or compete with each other. Like I'm just not on that. So like as long as it's about the music and it's about the craft, I'll try anything once.
Not even a little clout? You gotta get something out there.
Here's
bubbling.
the thing, like someone had to be like, all right, I'm gonna work with this no name Nell. Someone had to do that, right? In order for me to be where I'm at, you know, for me to have had the experiences that I've had to want to create this for myself. So I don't feel like I'm better than anyone that I have to like use that as a filter with whether I can collab with you or not. If I feel like you're about what I'm about, like then let's sit down and make some magic. at the same time, where I'm at in my career is in a different place than where some others are at. So, I mean, as long as you got the work ethic and the discipline.
Right.
Yeah.
And for those that are out there, like, who kind of want to know, like, the steps to getting a whole album on iTunes.
Oof.
How are you distributing your music? Like, what platforms are you using?
So, my first EP, I used SiddyB.
SiddyB, okay.
The last two have been through DistroKid.
Mm-hmm.
So far, so good.
Mhm.
It's pretty the interface is pretty user friendly. They break a lot of the legal jargon down so that you can understand and make it simple for artists that are independent or they're doing their own music and distributing or you know, producing their own music and in control of their own music. They try to make it easy for you. So I definitely would maybe start with DistroKid if you know if it's your first go around, so you can kind of get a feel for the process.
There's another platform that is out there called United Masters.
I think I've heard of that. Yeah.
It's actually really dope. I tried uploading a song on there just to see how it works. And the legality for it is pretty easy to read. It's created by Steve Stout, so you know Steve Stout is pretty heavy in the game. So that's also another good platform for you to look into. Get you out to iTunes, Spotify, all those extra things, and also kind of gives you opportunity for like maybe commercial placements.
That's what's up.
So check into it. It's free too, and it just kind of like guides you through and tells you who your audience is and what's that like. So from a business perspective, have you noticed any gains since releasing Love Alchemy? You know, what is that like? Is your DM blowing up?
Is my DM blowing up?
You never know. You never know.
So platforms like, for example, like Apple Music and Spotify, they allow you to monitor daily streams, plays, purchases, radio spins, and stuff like that. So I'm not like neurotic about it. Like I don't check it every day, but it is significantly more exposure than my very first project. So in terms of the gains, it's still too early. I think like 3 months is when you start seeing some of that trickle in. But just the love that I've gotten off of the streams and off of like social media like Instagram and Facebook and all of that has been enough for me. It's filled enough of my cup for me to keep doing it. So like this is the first time that I've really promoted my music like that. Everything else has been like, I'm gonna post it. If they see it, they see it. They don't, then they don't.
So your strategy has changed.
It has changed, yeah.
Up to release. So what are your thoughts up to release date? I'm gonna put it on iTunes, I'm gonna put it on SoundCloud, and what do you do next?
So, well, you're asking like, what was my strategy this time around?
Yeah.
I knew I wanted to release a single before the album dropped. And part of that was because no one knew that I was working on an album. And I've been talking about this for a long time, but it's like, hey, I was working on an album. And so I kind of wanted to surprise everyone, like, hey, I'm back. And then, you know, just kind of like keep everybody tuned in until the album dropped. And so there's been a little bit of strategy that I've applied this time around. Just because I'm a little smarter this time around.
Yeah.
I care a little bit more, and like, listen, like this took 4+ years of my life, and the content is really precious to me, and so I wouldn't have been satisfied with doing what I've done in the past, with just dropping it and like walking away from it.
Your first release was that was pretty big too. I was in attendance of that, and I'm like, this is really big. Like this is a really huge setup for you, and I'm like, this is really cool.
Yeah.
You were on stage. You gathered a good amount of people.
Yeah.
It was like a mini concert.
Yeah.
For you.
I thought I wasn't gonna do music again. The whole reason I even dropped Unknown Artist was because I was like low key mad that, you know, I wouldn't say there was a lot, but there's a handful of people that were like, this is not your thing. You're a hobbyist.
Wow.
Like, let it go. It's cute. You cute, but I'm not really like, I don't think this is for you, right?
Wow.
Like there was a handful of people that said that, and then I also on the other side had like all of this unreleased music that was like burning. I didn't want to be like 50 something and be like, yo, I should have released that. Like I should have just did it. And like me saying, if I never do music again, if I never write a single verse again, then let me have this moment to give it literally everything I got. Like, and I mean literally, like from a financial piece, from a mental piece, from an emotional piece. I think I broke up with my then boyfriend like a couple of weeks before the event. So like it was a lot going on. And I was like, if I never do it again, I'm gonna do it to say that I did it, and I'm gonna be proud of myself. And then I'll focus on my career and I'll focus on everything else. So I didn't necessarily intend on continuing to do music in that way.
Wow.
I just thought this was gonna be the final hurrah. And it just so happened that people felt like it was worth listening to.
Got some response.
Yeah.
That's cool. At this point, I'm just like, wow. At this point, so let's go through Love Alchemy.
All right.
Let's pull up your favorite. Pull up your favorite song.
Oh, my favorite.
And then talk about it.
All right, like music is like kids. You can't have a favorite kid though.
Yes, you can.
You're right. You can.
You can.
So I go through like moods. So sometimes I'll be in a mood, and I have like 4 favorites.
Okay.
My favorite right now is a track I did with my brother. It's called Away.
Okay.
I'll play it for you. It's real ambient, like you said. Yeah.
Stick beside me, the lies a part of me, the space that you occupy, the darkness that try to hide. Still, I'm not trying to see you running away from me. Selfish security, you coming back to me, love. Such a scary thing, it's taking over me.
What's this all about? Like, what's the concept of this song?
So the crazy thing about this is that we didn't intend to do a collab on this at all. I was in my creative process, just kind of like listening to songs, and this song came up, and I was like, I want that. And so I was writing, and my brother came around, and I was like, yo, would you get on this? And he was like, yeah, I would get on that. But then he started like going off on all these reasons why he had like this like crazy writer's block. And I don't know, it was just something about him saying that he felt like he couldn't write music. And my brother's a creator just like I am, and I believe in his craft just like I believe in mine. And I was like, nah, you could definitely write to this. And so we kept going back and forth. He's like, nah, like I haven't wrote music in a while, like, And I'm like, I bet you can. So I showed him the ref that I had recorded. I recorded a ref. And he was like, yo, that's sick. Like, I don't know, maybe I'll try to write to him. So I gave him like a notebook, and I gave him a pen, and I'm like, just write, I'll come back. And I came back, and I was like, yo, you got this. And so we started talking about, the whole song is about, a lot of music is like exploring like mental health, right? And like where depression kind of plays a role, and like anxiety plays a role into like, the way that you interact with others. And so where I was coming from is like, being so preoccupied with doubts and things that have gone wrong, and measuring where you're currently at against where you thought you would be at this point in life, right? And like the impact that has on your significant other. Like if you got a partner, you got a boyfriend, a girlfriend, wife, husband, whatever, like the way that you impact them with your insecurity, all of your baggage. And so I'm really talking about like all the demons that I've got, and how I'm trying not to let them, bleed out and affect, my man, or I'm trying not to let them affect other people or even me, but I really can't. I can't avoid them. Mm-hmm. Like it's inside of me, right? And that's part of the, there's a lyric that it's deep inside of me. The lie is a part of me, and the lie is like the facade. Like, you know, you show up and you show your representative, but like deep down, like you got a lot of stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of where I was coming from, just exploring like what it's like to be an artist that has to tap into this like darker side of her to create the music that she wants to create, but knowing that that's gonna put her in this really depressive state, and maybe she goes a couple days, she doesn't want to talk, or like she just wants to be alone, right? And I was talking to my boyfriend as I was writing this, and I was like, you know, I realized that you allowing me to stay in this creative space where I can write music is impacting our relationship, but thank you for giving me the space to still do it. So that's kind of like where I was at, and my brother having some, you know, similar artist things that we go through as artists, right? And like how our significant others have to respond to the way that we work. And so he approached it from his vantage point, and I approached it from mine. And when we sat down together and looked at what each other wrote, we were like, yo, we gotta do this. And the very next day I called my producer, and I was like, oh, you got some time for me? And he's like, yeah, pull up. And we dropped in the booth, and we were like, yeah, that's it. And so it just has like a real swaggy, kind of dark.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Definitely, it's you're making your vocals go up, down.
Yeah.
You're really exploring some range in there.
Yeah.
How did you meet your producer? Like, how did that come about? What's his name?
So I work with a variety of producers. The two that I have a real like relationship with is Isaac Johnson, goes by I So Sick, and we met through a mutual friend that also does music back in like 2013, 2014, and I really just appreciated. At the time, he was just like an engineer to me. And I just really appreciated like him giving me the space to do my thing, and then chime in when I needed some input. Mm-hmm. And it started from there, and then you know, as time progressed, he started to be a little bit more involved, and I would consult him on the track, right, and ask him for his advice, ask him for his opinion. He's also an artist himself, and so we just had a lot of creative chemistry. And my social circle is very small, and so I stick to the people that I feel comfortable with and that I know are going to bring the best out of me. So he's one of them. Another is he goes by the Ambiance, formerly Young Focus was his former artist name. Hope he doesn't kill me for that. But I've known him probably since 2006, 2007. He's one of my brother's childhood friends. So I've known him forever. And we started doing music in his closet in like Chapel Trail, like back in the day, like way back. So I consider him to be one of my day ones. Like we just go back, and it's funny, when I talked to him, he reminded me not too long ago, or maybe a few years ago, when I first started doing music, he was like, yo, you ever heard of an artist called The Weeknd? And I was like, no, I never heard of no artist called The Weeknd. He's like, you're like the female version of The Weeknd. And I had no idea who that, and this was before The Weeknd blew up. He still had a couple mixtapes out. Like, he was super like under the radar, like underground. And I was like, yeah, I guess I kind of hear it. And so it's funny, like that's how long we've been.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
That's a long time. Are you gonna like after Love Alchemy now? What's next? Like, do you have any like mixtape intentions, or is it just straight album, like EPs? What's the business idea that you want to do after this?
I don't know about business idea. I can tell you creative ideas.
Okay.
I am hungry to do a visual. I am an artist by every stretch of the imagination. Like, I draw, I paint, I write, creative fiction and things. So I'm looking to kind of like explore other mediums, and so a music video is one of those ways that I'm really interested in, taking the music and adding layers to some of the themes, some of the concepts that I explore in my music. So I'm really excited about working on that. So from a business like content standpoint, like that's kind of where I plan to spend a lot of my energy. When it comes to the music, like I said, like I want to pick up the bass guitar. Like I really want to, I really want to be a legitimate musician. And I just love that, like, that bottom that the bass line gives. Yeah, like it touches you. You know what I mean? It touches your soul. And that's kind of the space I want to be in. Like I just want to, you know, listen to it and play good music, and if it means another album comes as a result, then I'm down. And if not, if it means it's another 4 years, God forbid, if it means it's another four years, you know, I'm down for that too. But I'm definitely looking to collab with more people, looking to work with you in the near future. So from a business standpoint, a little bit more exposure. I love performing live. I grew up singing in the church, so like that comes naturally to me. So I definitely want to get back into that.
That'd be a really good thing. Like start funneling your fans in, so you can start getting these little mini intimate concerts.
Yeah,
going.
little tiny desk
situation.
joint.
Yeah, and that's really how you're gonna really start blossoming. You kind of have to put yourself
out there,
really out there, to get to where you want to go, whether it be mainstream or still be independent and still earn all this money on your own. And people like, you heard the rapper Russ.
Yeah.
So his approach, super independent.
Yeah.
Fuck everything else.
Yeah.
But it's working. You just gotta get people to fuck with you.
Yeah.
So would Bullets be a visual?
So that is the plan.
Yeah.
That is the plan for Bullets to lead the way. I think it's probably the most, I wouldn't say it's the most accessible in terms of like people being able to relate to it, but I think in terms of like what could be really visually captivating and like what story I could tell, just because there's a lot going on in Bullets. Like they're like, if you really listen to the lyrics, there's a ton of there's like 3 different stories going on with Bullets. So I think that it kind of gives me a lot of room to tell the story that I want to tell visually. So it'll probably be Bullets. Away, I'm sure will come through at some point. So.
I guess I'm out of personal music questions out right now, so I guess we're just gonna have some trivial fun.
Okay, some trivial fun.
I'm
down for the trivial fun.
What's NellzB's favorite food?
Oh, right now?
Right now.
All right, you're gonna judge me though.
I'm gonna judge.
Yeah, you're going to judge me. It's fine though. It's cool. Right now, I'm a big desserts person.
Okay.
So if you say, "Oh, I cooked dinner and come get some," I'll be like, "All right, okay, cool." But if you're like, I made some cake or some pie or some cheesecake, I will be there ASAP. So I'm a big desserts person. So right now, like my 2 favorites are Duffy's Sports Grill has a fried cheesecake.
I never had fried cheesecake.
Yo.
Wow.
Yo.
It's good?
Yeah. So it's between that, and this is where the judgment comes, but just hold the judge. McDonald's guava and cream pie.
McDonald's.
Girl.
It's good? I don't know. I haven't had McDonald's in a long time.
I'm going to take a poll. I'm going to poll the room. Why everybody looking at me like that? Oh, don't do it. Y'all not gonna judge me, right? Let me tell you.
Man.
With a little and a little. It is so good. I can't even tell you. But you know what? Like that's just my 2 guilty pleasures right now. I'm sure it'll change in a month. That's messed up, y'all. Oh, I can't.
Okay. Let's try and find some more trivial things.
All right.
I don't even know right now.
I can ask you a question.
Okay,
I can switch it up.
Switch it up.
What's your favorite song right now?
Oh my gosh, honestly, my favorite song right now, I got 2.
Ooh.
Right now I'm on my hot girl vibe, we on that hot girl vibe. But I really like Sweetie, My Type.
Okay.
I really like that song. It's fun. It's super ratchet, authentic ratchet. It's like, my type, nigga, that's my type.
Okay.
I like that vibe.
Okay.
That one and Lizzo.
Okay.
She has a song on her album.
Lizzo is the truth.
dope. And Soulmate. is actually a really good song. Just listening to it, and I'm like, dang, you know, this is super really relatable to what she's talking about, what she's experienced, and, you know, she doesn't, quote unquote, look like your industry artist.
I think that's why I love her so much.
I think that's why too.
Yeah.
She's not the mold. She's not the...
She's breaking the mold.
She is breaking the mold, but she's definitely not the standard as far as it, visually.
Yeah.
That sounds wrong. But, you know, sometimes the people want you to look a certain way.
Yeah.
Want you to be slim, fat ass, big titties, all these things like that.
Yeah.
She's definitely not that, and she's very happy with herself.
Right.
You can see that she's genuinely happy with herself, and I'm like, I like that. And then on top of it, her wordplay is off the chain. Like, her writing,
She is true.
her writing is unbelievable. Her beat selection is unbelievable. I'm like, wow, she is so dope.
And she plays the flute.
And she, oh my god, she be murdering that. that flute thing, I don't know. She's classically trained in the flute.
I know.
So I see where you're coming from with the bass.
Like, so I feel like that's what gives you an extra edge. It's one thing because when you don't play music, you only hear what you've heard before. But there's notes that you've never heard because you've never played them.
Right, music.
Right? Or your ear wasn't tuned to really be able to identify, like, that was this note or that was that note. And, like, you get I think there's an advantage that musicians that play music have.
Right.
You can make a different type of music.
Because, like, even if you listen to the music now and then you go and listen to what the producers are doing, they're in specific chords.
Yeah.
They're in...
It's intentional. There's a progression. Yeah.
It's always the same. Everything is C major.
Yeah.
C major 7. It's like, okay, well, those are happy chords.
Yeah.
Can we get a little dark?
Can we get a little minor?
Can we get a little minor?
Yeah.
Can we get a little riff? I mean, there are some amazing piano people out there, but people who are hot, who are controlling the radio right now with production, C major.
Yeah.
All the way through, ain't really much to it, unless you're playing the piano.
Yeah.
But those are my 2 songs right now, and I got a few, like, other small little ratchet songs here and there, but it's all about... Most of my stuff is just pure ratchet.
Yeah.
Straight ratchet right now.
I feel you.
But that's just my energy right now.
I feel you on that.
That's why we're drinking Hennessy.
I mean, hey, like...
It is what it is.
You know,
It fits.
if it ain't dark, it ain't right. So, you know, I feel you on that. I'm listening to a lot of Chris Brown right now.
That's a lot to listen
The Come Together record with her.
You know what I like about that? I like what he did with that Pharrell grinding beat.
Yo!
That Pharrell where he
The first time I heard it, my little brother and sister are like in their teens still, and somebody played it, and I was like, I felt like my parents for the first time. I was like, you don't know what that song used to mean to us. We used to, be banging on the tables in the lunchroom in high school. Like, they have
That's
no
like
perspective.
Everybody's first beat that they ever
That they
heard.
could, everybody could make beats after that, right?
Yeah.
But like that, like it was real nostalgic. Like I felt like he really paid
But
forward.
honestly, like I do production here and there, when I feel like sometimes, but to take the grinding beat and add vibrant chords
To
to
do
it,
what they did to it.
and I'm like,
yeah, that was nasty.
who thought of this?
That was nasty.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah, I feel you.
And then if you really listen to what he did with the Aaliyah, the back and forth, I'm like,
I know.
what is going on?
I
Like
know.
production wise,
Yeah.
this man is unbelievable. As far as selection.
That's why I'm all about it. I'm all about it. So I'm just been spinning that. I bounce between like that.
How do you feel about her? Like she's totally.
I love her. It kills me that she's 21. She
is?
Yeah, man. She's mad young, but she's so gifted.
She's gifted. She plays like anything you give her.
Yeah. So like I said, I have such a deep appreciation for people who are serious about their craft, and like I love Chris Brown and I love her independently. So having them on the same record, like, to be honest, just to be honest, to be completely honest, after I heard that song, I called my boyfriend up and I was like, babe, I want to play the bass guitar. Because the bass line on that just did something to me. And like, obviously, like that was recently. So yes, this was a recent development. I just decided that I was going to be playing the bass guitar. But like, yeah, like that's what I'm going. I was so inspired by it. And like, just how effortless she is on the track, just it was smooth. It was like butter.
Yeah.
So I go between. I'm going between that album and I got to get my Travis Scott in there. Here and there.
I like Travis. I remember when I first heard Travis Scott's mixtape. I'm like, this guy is about to blow. And I think I told somebody, I'm like, yo, Travis Scott. And they're like, who? And I'm like, Travis Scott. You don't know? And then next thing you know, took off. I'm just like, wow.
Yeah, man.
Incredible. He's another one who can put together something.
Yeah, he can.
His mind, out of this world.
I loved. What did you think about the last album?
I didn't really listen to it.
Girl.
I think his mixtapes are better.
Nah, you gotta.
Did you hear Pharaoh Owl or whatever it's called?
Nah.
Pharaoh Owl
Mm-mm.
of Travis Scott. That is unreal.
All right, we're gonna have to exchange playlists.
I gotta find it in my phone somewhere. But it is. I think it's unreal from where he sounds like now. He was already ahead of his time as far as sound goes and knowing where he's at. And his story is incredible because Kanye didn't pay him no mind. This didn't pay him no mind.
Now look at him.
But now he's down with Kanye. Hey, it is what it is.
That's how it works.
That's just how it works. What? Any disappointments this week? Any happy incidents this week?
Not really. I think one of the things I learned is I think like the importance of promotion really settled with me this week. Like I said, I'm not hawking my plays every day, right, or my streams, but I can see a direct correlation from when I post or when I invest in some like marketing or advertising, and the kind of response that generates versus on a day where I'm not really putting anything out there. I'm not really actively promoting anything, and you kind of get on this high that you're like, ooh, okay, people like that, okay, and like you get into this space where you're trying to understand who your audience is, and like I'm curious about that, but I'm not like trying to like over index on people pleasing. But I wouldn't say there's been any like letdowns, but there's been a lot of like learning. Like I'm learning the industry. As an independent artist, I've been, YouTube is your friend these days, and so I've been watching a lot of YouTube, reading a lot of articles. Books? I'm not reading books. I dig books. I love books. But in my day job, I have a pretty long commute. I got about an hour commute, so I spend most of my time to and from listening. So it's got to be like a podcast, it's got to be YouTube, or it's got to be like a book on tape or something for me to be able to give it my attention. And so podcasts and YouTube have been like the medium.
Podcasts are it.
Yo,
I'm trying to get to that level.
Yo,
I'm trying to get me a podcast.
I got a roster.
I'm trying to get me a podcast. Maybe
we could collab on a podcast.
I'm trying to put the energy out there.
Let's do it.
Put the pod, you get the microphones, background set, whatever.
Let's go.
Some topics.
Let's go. Okay. All right, cool.
Get it out there.
Yeah.
It is. We're gonna do it. So.
Well, thanks for coming through and jamming with me.
I'm here.
Appreciate you. What?
Hey, we're trying to be as candid as possible
and organic as possible.
Organic with this big ass light.
Anyway, for those of you that
your
stay
social
tuned,
media.
Those of you that stay tuned, I appreciate the love. Keep up with me. Follow me at NellzB on Instagram. My website is nellzbmusic.com, where you can stay a little closer to me than my Instagram. I'm not on that all the time, but as far
She's
as
on it.
I'll be on. Yeah, all right, fine. I'll be on it. But my website is a little closer to me. See some photos from previous events, previous releases, and just kind of be in the know with all my events and possible collabs in the future. You can find me there. But yeah, it's been real. Appreciate you. What?
Like I said, Chanel and I have not seen each other in a long time.
I haven't seen you since I left.
Exactly.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like a few minutes. Yeah, you got about 10 o'clock.
All right, we can still record.
You can grab whatever
We can still
you can
record
right now.
and whatever, right?
We're good to go, then.
studio manager kicking us out. So
Kind of cut
we
it.
gotta go.
It's not that critical.
But like I
Prices
said,
do,
Chanel
right?
and I haven't
Yeah.
seen each other in so long.
Yeah, like 2011.
So long.
When I left Aventura.
That too.
That was when.
They fired me from Aventura
I
Gap.
remember that.
Anyway, so I didn't steal nothing. I didn't do anything. They just didn't like me no more. I don't know. But I told her on the phone, I said, we got to keep the energy on the phone the same way in the studio.
Yeah, when I talked to you.
Yeah, exactly.
It was the same.
It's the same. And it's crazy because for somebody you haven't seen in over like 4 years,
Yeah.
you would think like, oh, hey, hi, how you doing?
We don't want it to be
Yeah,
awkward.
but when it's natural and you actually know somebody, the chemistry is always there. That even if you don't see somebody for a couple of years, if you really vibe with them, it's there.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It's just always gonna be there. That energy is gonna be there unless it was fake in the beginning. So that's how you know.
It's a real one over there.
And I can't find my keys.
That's problematic.
So now, how did you feel about the interview? Or the catch up? Let's not even call it. The
It was a
interview.
catch up. It really was a catch up. Yo, how I feel about it was great catching up. I'm mad that it took us this long to catch up,
Right?
but we definitely got to do it again. We got to collab. I felt good about it.
I should probably not be drinking while I'm on camera. With my keys in my hand.
It's all right. We're gonna chop it up.
Mhm.
Definitely follow me at NellzB on Instagram, nellzbmusic.com. Keep up with me. Follow me. See what's going on. Stay tuned for when I drop that video. Stay tuned for this video. And how people can reach you.
Oh yes. You can reach me on Instagram. I'm always on Instagram at I am SiddyB. You can check out my beats, check out her shit, NellzB's, my shit, her shit. We gonna do shit.
Stay tuned, y'all.
Bring your
Be
friends and
easy.
we can do shit.
Hey.
I'm not that fragile. The powder made me perfectly imperfect. See, it was my shell on top of that wall. Said I could fly, you break my fall. Like a hard cover novel, yeah. You could still rip it all hollow. Smiling through my sorrow. To the depths I follow you. You made me feel brand new. So I call all the king's soldiers, all the king's men, but none of them could mend me again. I call all the king's soldiers and all the king's men, none of them could mend me again. Oh, put it back together. Bring it back, it's better. It's beautiful, exceptional. Mended together, made me more beautiful. With pressure under pressure, that's where the gold is. My skies glitter, glitter. It healed over gold. Opened my eyes, I broke the lowest code. I severed ties with them. Wasted time with them. One and the same. Twin to that old flame. It was the realest love until it was the biggest lie. And so that was the biggest pain. And that was the realest thing. And I ain't been the same since. And nothing's changed since. Nothing's been real since. Nothing's been